to give you a quick bit of background on Amiga Project Solutions. As a company, we've been around since the early 90s. Our headquarters is in Norway. That picture, in fact, is of our headquarters on a beautiful fjord in Norway. We've been a supplier of systems and consultants to the energy sector. Our core is major projects, and the basic thrust of the company is to help projects improve their performance, decision making and communication through our Pims systems and our systems and consultants. Our Pims product range consists of 10 different modules. Obviously today we're focusing on completion management, the one at the bottom left, but we also specialize in cost management, document control, and numerous different products. Now today's focus is going to be really a story that we had from one of our EPC clients. They needed to have their inspectors spend more time out in the field in the commissioning and completions process. There's some of the challenges that they were having. They couldn't send them out to the field with Wi-Fi enabled devices like laptops or tablets because of the safety concerns. The fields were so large that it was hard to provide coverage if in fact that was allowed anyway across the whole yard. So they would use the traditional method of coming into the site office each morning, collecting their paper-based checklists and taking them out with them. Occasionally, the paper-based checklist, once it may get lost, and misplaced or damaged due to rain, weather conditions. It also provided a large volume of paperwork at the end of the day that had to be scanned back in. So they'd return back to the site office, get them scanned in. They'd have to be stored and organized and categorized for handover eventually. We also saw situations where two different inspectors would get sent out accidentally with the same paper-based checklist to go check, so one of them's wasted their time because the other has already performed the inspection. So today, Luke is going to take us through a tour. He's going to assume the role of an inspector. He's going to go out in the field and do a checklist. He's going to then assume the role of a field engineer, go out and manage punch lists. So he's going to take the application offline, go out to the field, do his work on the tablet, and then come back and upload his data. So with that, I'll hand over to Luke.
All right. Hey, I'm Luke Simcock. I am a systems engineer, and I also work on a CMS project as a specialist. The project's in the US at the moment. I'm going to show you a project later. It's just a demo project. It's about a platform in the North Sea. But for now, I'm just going to explain quickly what does CMS do? How can CMS help you? So CMS encompasses four major areas. There's engineering, which includes the engineering registers, the advanced import capabilities and tag validation, and mechanical completions phase, which includes where the tags are being systemized and where checklists are done and where punch listing is assigned, and the commissioning phase, where commissioning procedures are completed and stored, and also where more punch lists and checklists are done in this phase. And also you can monitor your progress or report as well. So we've also got the preservations module too, which can manage weekly work lists and report findings and tasks from this. All right. So I am going to show you the client-based app and also the tablet app, which is the offline app. So for now, I'm going to jump into the client app. So the first screen that I'm going to show you is the Project Explorer. The Project Explorer gives you a good overview of the entire project. You can organize this in different hierarchical forms, the way you want it to see your data. This is showing the entire project, the counts for the project, how many checklists are completed, how many are outstanding, how many punch lists are completed and outstanding, and as well as how many certificates you have to do and how many are completed. So under this this overview, you get a pretty good view of all your systems, all your subsystems, every single checklist that you have under this system. And at this level, the level below is the subsystem level. So expanding out the subsystem level on the side here, you can see the subsystem here. So this is a narrowed down view of how much work you have to do on this project. So I'm going to quickly explain what these icons are in the tree over here. So expanding this out, you can see different colored icons and different text for different meanings. So this is showing that you have outstanding checklists. You have checklists completed. This is a list of all the tags that are under this subsystem. And you can also see further down that there's a punch list B against this tag. So it gives you a good quick overview of what you've got to do just by having a quick look in the tree. So through the list of tabs here, you can see all the tags into this subsystem. So this, you've got to remember that this is the view of just the subsystem because this is the one I have selected here in the list. All right. So checklists. Checklists and punch items are what we're mainly going to be encompassing for this demo. The checklists are assigned from within the system, from within this client. So you can assign a tag type, for example, to a tag, and then you can mass populate all your checklists in the system. You don't have to generate them individually. They're automatically generated, and then they can be downloaded onto the tablet when we actually want to do the work. So just a quick overview of how this checklist tab shows information. Under this cert column on the side here, you can see a padlock, which means that this checklist has been checked out. So each one of these rows is a checklist. You can see there's electronic checklists and there's also paper-based checklists. And the paperclip shows completed checklists. So when a checklist is completed, it'll be uploaded into the system, whether it's paper or electronic, and it'll be generated into a PDF. So that can be exported later and handed over. So this is all the checklists I have against this subsystem. This subsystem is the one we're going to be working in for this demo. This data is fictional, it's just test data, so don't take it too seriously, but it should give you a good overview of what's going on. All right. So I'm going to show you the checklist functionality first. So from this list of checklists, when we want to actually do some work, I'm going to assume that all of these have already been generated. I know I have a job to do. I'm a certain engineer. I have a certain discipline that I'm working within. So I'm going to go out and do work on this subsystem. I'm going to open the app. So the start of generally at the end of the day is when my engineers load up the information onto their apps. So they're in their office or they're connected to the internet somewhere and they want to download their checklists. So within this app, you can click download checklists. I'm going to log in. So I'm connected to the internet somewhere. I'm logged into the app and I know I have some work to do. So I'm going to find which subsystem I'm going to be doing the work on as the engineer. I'm going to choose this top subsystem because this is a good one for this demo. And I'm also going to choose a discipline of instrumentation, just so we don't download a whole bunch of checklists that we don't need. Subsystem files, drawings, packages, system files, tag drawings, and tag files. This is going to download any files that are attached at the system, subsystem, package, or the tag level. So you can attach different information to each checklist and it'll inherit it from its parents so you can view it when you're actually doing the checklist. And it's all downloaded offline onto the tablet. All right, so I'm just going to click download and it should find any checklists that match that criteria and download them. So I've downloaded 2 checklists and no punch items. So this, if you already had a checklist which had a punch item attached to it, it would download that punch as well, so you could work on that punch item at the same time as you're working on the checklist. Okay, so we've downloaded them. I'm going to click this back button up the top, or I'm going to, touch it with a pen because you can imagine that I'm using this as a touch screen. So you should see that I've got an updated list of values here against the open checklist. I've got 13 blank, 2 started, which means some of the checks have been done on those checklists and maybe they've been uploaded or just been kept on the tablet. So clicking on the open checklist, I get a list of all the checklists that I've downloaded to this tablet. So when I download a checklist to the tablet as well, you got to remember that it locks it so nobody else can download it unless they override it. Generally, it's not something that's done, but it's a fallback in case something happens and you need to re-download the checklist that's been checked out. All right, so I'm going to work on one of these 2 checklists at the bottom here. So the way this list works is, so if I'm out in the field and I have a bit of work to do, I'm the engineer, I'm going to find the checklist that I need, and I'm going to click on this Open Checklist button at the bottom right, and this will open the actual checklist for me to do the work on. So I'm out in the field and I'm supervising some people, for example, and my engineers go out and do the work, either that or the construction guys are doing the work, and I can come through here and I can check off tasks as they do them. So I'm just gonna tick all of these as okay, and I'm gonna also fill in just a little bit of information about some kind of serial number. All right, I'll NA one of these just for fun, and maybe I'll make a punch item, but no, I'll do that. I'll do that after I finish. Okay, so let's say I've filled in this information, and I also have a large box of information that I want to actually write in. So if I click this, I can open it up and I can actually use my pen to fill in values if I want to. So I can actually write on this in the screen, you know, I can input some metric values, I don't know. So I can enter values. So I can actually write all over this. I'll actually change the color of the pen if I want. And I can, if it was a very large image, I could also scroll around it. And I can clear the drawing, or I can undo what I just did if I don't want to see what I just did. So every time you save it, it's going to save it back as one color, but you know, working on it in different colors is just for your information so you can easily see what you've done. So clicking save and then clicking go back takes me back to this main screen, so I can see the information that I'd written in, and I can also see further down if I want to add any additional comments to the bottom of this checklist. So I need to check the tag above. And you can also see the files that I've downloaded as well. So these files were attached to the subsystem level to this checklist, and they've been downloaded. I can click on them and I can open them up. So I'm completely offline at the moment. Imagine I'm out in the field and I'm walking around doing some work. I'm not connected to the internet. All these files were downloaded when I downloaded the checklist in the office. So I can look through some drawings and see what's going on. Changing back to the app, if I'm happy with what I've done here, or maybe I'm not happy yet, I'm gonna add a punch item. I'm gonna think that the calibration results I wasn't happy with that, so I'm gonna add a punch. So I'm gonna add a punch about it. Okay, so when you add a punch item against a checklist, the item is also automatically associated with the punch, so you can find it later. It's linked back to the checklist, so you can recheck this before you complete this checklist. So I'm adding a category to the punch and adding a phase, and this is the responsible group. So I'm going to add the commissioning group and action by myself, and I'm also going to type in that I'm the one that raised it. If I don't fill in the raised by, it's going to automatically fill it in as me anyway, but I can choose somebody else if I'm creating this for somebody else. I'm going to take a photo. So for demo purposes, we've created this. We're going to take a picture of this pipe support that's not quite right. So clicking the little camera icon takes your photo, and you can zoom in and move it around if you like. Crop out what you don't need, and then that's fine. That attaches the photo to it. Clicking add will attach this punch item. You can see at the bottom here that you have punch items, and you can view the punch item you've just created here. So we'll come back to that later when I show you how to deal with the punch items. So for now, I think we're happy enough with this. I am going to mark it as complete at the bottom, and then I have the approvals that I needed to complete. So as a subcontractor, I can ask somebody to sign for it. So if I've got the tablet and I've checked something out, I'm walking around, I can have multiple people sign this. I don't actually have to be logged in as a person to sign it. So I'm going to get the subcontractor to sign it. I'm going to say that Kenneth is the subcontractor. So I'd hand the tablet over to Kenneth, and he'd go, yeah, that looks good to me. So then he can sign it, and he can click confirm, and it will mark it as Kenneth's actually signed it. So I work for the company, so I'm going to sign this as myself. Make a mess of it. All right, there we go. So once the two signatures have been completed, this gets marked to upload. So the status changes on this checklist, and it's marked to upload. So you can see I haven't completely completed it, but usually you would. I'm actually going to take a photo as well against this checklist so I can prove later that I've actually done the work. So if I click take photo, I'm going to take a photo of the same thing. Yeah, it actually is there. You can trust me. Let me click take a photo, and I'm going to save that. So when this gets uploaded, that photo will also get uploaded and attached to the checklist. Okay, so this checklist looks good to me. I can click the back button up the top here and jump out. So this is the checklist that I've completed. You can see the status has changed to signed, and there's also got an icon on the right showing that it will be uploaded. Well, you have the opportunity to upload it when you finally sync and upload these. Okay, so I'm done with the checklist for now. I've got these items to upload here, but I'm going to jump back into the app and show you how to download a punch item. Actually, I'm going to upload this checklist before we come back and do the punch item. So we'll upload twice, just so we don't have to upload everything at once and get a bit confused. All right, so let's say that we finished that checklist. We know that we've got one signed. So it's the end of the day. I've connected back to the internet. So if I did come back, I wouldn't be connected. So I'm going to click upload, and I'm going to log in again. So as the inspector or the site engineer, when I've done this checklist for the day, I'm going to connect back to the internet and I'm going to upload these. This is good because you can track your progress daily. Everything's off the tablet that you've done, so you don't have any risk of losing anything. Yep. So clicking upload. So when I click upload, this is going to remove the punch item and the checklist off the tablet. So I'll have to re-download it again if I want to work on it any further. All right. Okay, so the image has been uploaded. It's uploading the file. It's uploading the checklist and the comments box and the signatures that were associated with it. And it will also generate the checklist into a PDF. So that all was good. So this that's done. We can exit that. And usually you would just close down the app, or you can go into download checklist and download your checklist for tomorrow. So I'm going to jump back over to the client, and then we can see what's changed in here. So I'm going to refresh this subsystem node. So if I scroll down, actually, which checklist was it? So we should be able to spot it pretty easily. This is the checklist we did. We can easily spot it by looking at the date that it was completed, which was today, or finding the actual paperclip icon, which should show the attached PDF of the completed checklist. So this is the work we just did. We have the tick boxes that we ticked. We have the comment that I wrote in there and a bit of the text that I'd scribbled on. We also have the signatures at the bottom here. So this is good. This is a completed checklist. Everything's done with this. This can be exported and filed for later. Okay. So this checklist had a punch item attached to it as well. You can tell by this little B. I know it's a punch item B. So the punch items in the system are stored under the punch items tab. There's lots of different places you can get to the punch items, but this is where they are in the Project Explorer. So this is the punch item that I created a minute ago. Retest Data. This has the image that I've taken. I can view it in here in the client. Yeah. And I can fill in any other additional information. So there's a lot more information you can fill in against a punch item. We make it pretty simple on the tablet app, so you can get it done quick. You can have it fresh in your mind, come back to the office, sync it, and then you can also fill in all this other information if you really require, or add a more detailed description. Okay, so I'm going to change role now. I'm going to imagine that I am a field engineer, and I'm going to go out on a walk down. So I can either have no punches created in the system already, or I can have some that I want to go and check. So if I'm going on a walk down at the start of a system handover, I'm going to have no punch items for that system. So I can come in into the app. Imagine I'm not logged in. I can go into open punch items, and I can start creating them from here, clicking add. But I can also come into the download punch items and grab all the existing punch items for that subsystem if I have any. So I'm going to get all the subsystem punch items for this subsystem. All right. So before I go out to do the actual work, I'm going to come in here, download all these subsystem punches, and you can see they've showed up in my open punch items list. So this list is pretty similar to the check items list. It shows just the punch items, gives you a little bit of information about whether they have attachments, and you've also got a camera icon there for taking photos and attaching to the punches. Okay, so I'm going to open this punch that I created before, just so you can see that it's the information that I originally inputted. See the commissioning start, it's me who raised it, it was a B. All this information is the same. This is the same punch that we created from the checklist. So once I'm happy with this information, I'm doing a walk down. I can see that it needed to be retested, this data, and it was retested. I can come in and do the same sort of approvals that I do on the checklist. All you have to do is click on the box, and you get the input signature. So this is the person who cleared it. So I'm gonna say that I was the one that cleared it. Right, scribble my signature in there, and then whoever's going to verify it. It could be the client, it could be whoever's in charge. This user is configured under the security. I'll make it Shane. So Shane is the one who's signing this. He's the in charge of the walk down that we're doing. I'm going to confirm that he signed it. Okay, so that's as simple as that. It's not too complex. It's real easy to understand. There's not much you can do in here. You can only cancel what you just edited, or you can save. If you sign it off, it automatically saves it, and then you can just jump back to the punch item list. So the last punch item was the one we created. It's verified now. Punch above is cleared, and the other was outstanding, which means they have no signatures against them. All right, so this works exactly the same way. If I click the camera icon, I can take another photo. I'm not going to do that. If I want to have a look at the existing files, I can click on the little file icon, and I can click the directory, and it will open. That's the same image as we saw before. And once we're happy in here that we've done everything we needed to do, we can jump back out and go to the file upload. So I've finished as an engineer out in my walk down. I've walked back to the office. So I'm actually going to log out as well, just so you can see. So I was completely offline when I was doing those punch items. So I've come back to where I have internet, and I want to sync my punch items back into the system that I've worked on. When I click upload, I'll have to log in back in again. And, oh, there we go. Let me just try that again. So you can see that my login failed, but I think, oh, there we go. So we can this tells me that I've got 1 of 9 punch items that I'm able to upload. So when you're checking out punch items and checklists, you can only download ones that haven't been signed off. There's not much point in having ones on your tablet that you have already completed. So I've completed these, and I'm going to upload these back into the system, this 1 of 9. So clicking upload, it says they're going to be removed, which is fine. All right, so my punch item's uploaded, everything's good. So I'm done with the app for now. I've still got all my other punch items in here. I see the verified one has disappeared. So I can continue working on these, or I can just clear them. If I know that I'm not going to be coming down and doing another walk down for a while, I can remove them all from my tablet, which will remove them from my tablet, but it'll check them back in on the client, so anybody else can check those out. What else have I got? So I've also got, if I jump back into the client, I am going to show you that the punch item list, I've got 7 punch items and 3 punch list A, but I'm going to refresh this because I have made a change. So actually the value just changed, but I didn't change the number of punch items I had. So this is the punch item that I verified just then. You can see that's marked as cleared, and it's also verified as well, and the file is still attached. If I change any of this data would have been resynced back up into the system. So yeah, it's simple as that for punch items. So just quickly, I've kind of skipped over something. I'm just going to jump back and check something. That's okay. All right. So to recap on the checklist, I'm just going to show you quickly how the checklist templates are set up. So for each one of these checklists, you can see the cert ID. So the one that I worked on was the MCCR I07. So I'm going to go into the certs and checklist config. This is where all of the certificates are set up. I'm going to filter at the top here for the instrumentation MCCRs. And I'm going to go down to the single tag checklist. So this is going to give you an idea of how the checklists are actually created. So you can see some basic information about the naming, the phase that it's showed in, the discipline, and the signature boxes. This is where the signature boxes are set up. This is configurable by whoever's the administrator of the system. You can easily add new handovers, and each of these signing groups have a list of users which are allowed to actually sign them. So that's all configurable. The actual date is set once this signature is completed. So the check items, this is the check item information. This must look familiar. This is from the checklist that we just completed. There's bold information, there's shading. If you change it in here, it gives you a bit of a preview of what it's actually going to look like in the checklist. And this information at the bottom is the boxes that you can write on using the tablet app. So this is all easily configurable. You can change it. It's just Word text. You can paste images in here, and you should be able to draw all over the images and annotate them. And yeah, simple as that. So the template for this, if I give you a quick preview, if I'd made any changes to it, it would update in real time. So the template for the instrument calibration looks like this. So this should look pretty familiar. It's the same as the other one. It's just lacking the data that was in there before. The other information gets pre-filled when you've uploaded it. Yeah. So this checklist can also be printed out and written on manually and scanned back into the system. The barcode is used by our scanning app to automatically assign it back to where it was and mark its actualized date. All right. Okay, so I'm going to hand back to Shane now. I'm going to jump back.
Actually, look, we're doing really well on time.
Yeah.
One of the things we were debating about was
Yeah.
to try and show how when you're out in the field offline
Yeah.
and you're inspecting a piece of equipment, that you can while you're there, attach and look at the latest drawings that relate to that piece of equipment. Have you got any
Oh, okay. Yeah,
examples of that you could show us?
Yeah, I quickly went over it before, but it's basically under the. So if you're in the tablet app, like I have everything offline at the moment. All these checklists are offline. If I click Open Checklists and choose any of these are all in the same subsystem. If I click Open Checklist, I can scroll down and I can see a list of the files attached. I ticked all the boxes for system, tag files, subsystem drawings, subsystem files, and package files, but I've only got subsystem drawings attached at the moment, which is easy enough. You can see that this is the 7223. If I click on that, I can open it. It's a PDF. Yeah, I quickly browsed over this before. This is a PNID for a system. It's a systemized PNID. So yeah, that is how that works. So if there was more files attached, they would all be listed here. When you sync these offline, it only downloads the file once and it references it, so it's pretty quick to download everything. Some other functionality to note quickly is just that there's a not applicable functionality, so if this checklist isn't valid and you know it's not valid, you can NA it and it will tick the NA box when you upload it. There's also functionality for it back in the checklist overview for multiple signatures. Oh, how was that? Oh, I don't have it open anymore. Oh, there it is. A little bit laggy. There's also functionality in here to be able to sign multiple check sheets at once. So you might do a whole bunch of work and then you want the client to sign off on it or a supervisor to sign off on it. He can click multiple sign and it will take you to a screen. I don't have any signings that I have to do. It'll list multiple signatures here and I can sign them all off at once. It's a bit of a time saver. It's pretty good. Okay, so anyway, for now I'm going to hand back over to Shane.
Thank you, Luke. That was excellent. It was a good tour of the offline functionality, and I think it demonstrated very well the productivity improvements that you can receive from this. So in the scenario that Luke was just going through, you can achieve these sorts of benefits. In this case here, I'm looking at, say, an inspection team of 10. Because they don't have to go into the site office twice daily to collect their checklist, to return them, to get stuck chatting by the water cooler, etc. They can save time straight away doing that, if you like, avoiding having to do that. By not having to repeat work where a checklist might have got lost or damaged, or those cases where two people have ended up inspecting the same piece of equipment and hence one of them's completely wasted their time. And when you're out in the field and you're inspecting a particular piece of equipment, you have access to all of the current drawings and vendor specifications related to that piece of equipment, which can enable you to be more efficient as well. So we're convinced in this scenario, 10 inspectors can do the work of 11. Additional benefits for the clerical team, looking at this from a time-saving perspective, they don't have to go in every morning and print out all of the checklists and all of the punch item clearance sheets and then gather them up for each inspector to make sure they get the right ones. And then at the end of the day, scan them all back into the system and file them away into folders for the future handover process. They'll easily save 4 hours a day avoiding those tasks. And not so much a time benefit, but you can achieve greater job satisfaction for your inspectors because they're not doing tasks that they don't really want to be doing. They don't want to have to come in and collect paper-based They want to get straight out to the field and do the work that they're paid to do. You can also take as much work with you as you like. You know, as long as your tablet can handle 2 days work, 3 days work, you could take a week's work with you, including the drawings. You know, there's no practical way of taking paper-based drawings out to the field. In terms of, you know, simplification of the process, you can attach pictures of what you've seen, which will help verify the current state. As well as that, you've got benefits for the person verifying or checking your work, because they can look at what you've done, they can compare that to the picture you've just taken and get it all signed off and verified in one step. So that concludes the demonstration portion of today's webinar. I want to thank Luke for doing an excellent job and Natalia for organising it. So we're now going to hand over to Kenneth Steinsvik, who's going to address as many of the questions as he can that came in the time permitted. And obviously we want to thank everybody for submitting their questions, for listening in and participating today. So over to you, Kenneth.
Thanks, Wayne. I got quite a few questions in, and I've been trying to answer as many as I can. I haven't gotten to all of them. The ones I have answered, I've shared with all of you, so you can probably see them in the questions section. It's a little bit hidden in the bar there. However, I'll pick out a few and just go over them and explain how it works. And yeah, we'll just keep on adding them if you have more questions at this time, and I'll pick them up on my screen. So starting off with the first question from Morten here. Are these tablets EX-proof? Our app will work on both EX tablets and non-EX-proof tablets. I added an example of a rugged tablet called Agile X, which we have been using. The link is in the answer section there, and we can also send you that one later on if anyone's interested. Next, I'm going to pick a question from Pat. He asked, is there a way of preventing the contractor from saying the checklist is complete without the verification from a supervisor or the client? Yes, that's fully supported. In the example we saw with Luke, he was a company rep, so he had access to fully sign it off. But as a part of the checklist setup, we have two or one or more signing groups based on each signature. So depending on your permissions in the system, you may be able to verify it, or you might be just able to do the first signatures. So that's supported. Adriano asked, can I use a Windows or an Android tablet? The app we looked at today is only available on Windows tablet. We have some web applications that will work on all tablets and smartphones, including Android, that will need, but then you will need to be 3G or Wi-Fi connected. Of other questions that came in, let me see here. Julio asked if Omega offers cloud solutions. Yes, we do that. We can offer Pims as a service on the cloud. We have partnered up with Microsoft and using their Microsoft Azure cloud as our backend. We can also install it on the client's own servers. So it's up to you guys and the clients and your requirements. More and more we see our clients leaning over to the cloud solutions. Next up, I'm going to choose a question from Linda. Her company, from what I can gather, is they're a smaller company and they're kind of growing and would like a system where they can use both checklists in the app, the electronic ones, and paper ones. So I'm assuming here Linda means that she has a few disciplines, maybe E&I, that would like to use the tablets versus the mechanical, the piping, would want to go paper-based. Yes, this is also supported. In the checklist setup that Luke showed us, you could tick off that any checklist type, you could select if it should be paper-based or electronic. So this is fully up to every project and every discipline what they would like. So up to your needs there, so you can kind of grow into it, so to speak. Of other comments that I got in, Pat asked, can we add attachments to checklists? Yes, you can. You can upload that. Even after it's been signed off, you can go into the app and or into the Pims and right-click it and add, you know, calibration reports, test reports, and so on. Yes. I think that's about as many questions that I'm going to go through. If you have more questions, feel free to send them over, and we can also answer on email and so on. Thanks, Shane. I'll hand it back to you.
Thank you, Kenneth, for addressing those questions, and they were great questions. We're just about to wind up. We've saved you some time, so everybody I know is busy, and we didn't take the full hour, which is good. When we shut down this webinar, the system will ask you, will give you a survey. It's very simple. There's less than 10 questions. They're multiple choice. We'd love to get your feedback so we can continue to enhance our webinars. At the very end of it, it will say if you want us to follow up with you, then just add your name and email address, and we will do so. So thank you all for participating, and we look forward to having you join us on the next one. Thank you.